1 in 4 millennials have done some type of chargeback fraud.
Wow.
And it's the fastest growing fraud in the UK.
The returns fraud is costing them billions.
Yeah, you've got 4 parties and no one single person holding that data. We have nothing like that post-purchase.
No.
We're actually sitting on a load of data ourselves that can empower a lot of those decisions.
What would you say the future is looking like? You've got these 2 businesses. I'm assuming all of your effort and energy is going into that.
I am in a really fortunate position to have a young child that I can actually do the things that I probably missed out on in the first 3. Retailers are still ultimately, I think, coming to the logistics providers to save the penny. That is a circular reference that's not going to end well.
Welcome to Let's Be Honest About Logistics podcast. I'm Nicky Jones, the CEO of the Do Group, and I'm joined here today by Stuart Hill, who is the founder of Trakii and Asset Guard. So welcome to our podcast, Stuart.
Thank you.
Lovely to have you here. Shall we start with telling the audience a little bit about your background?
Yeah.
Obviously a lot to unpack there.
So started at John Lewis straight from school. I always say I left post A levels, not really knowing what I had to do in life.
Yeah.
Would go and work for Waitrose for 6 months. I spent 12 years. So
Wow.
Managed to get on an A level program. And I think the reason I mention that is even today, like having that opportunity to go into a company like John Lewis many moons ago on such a program was such a good grounding for me. Some of the sort of management skills.
Yeah.
I still sort of go back to there. So 12 years. Was really fortunate to be part of the buy.com acquisition. Ended up in .com at the time, 5 parcels a day. And actually the week we left, we just became the biggest store within the John Lewis network. So took over John Lewis Oxford Street. And then from there, went to ASOS. No one had heard of ASOS at the time. My family always said, why are you leaving somewhere like John Lewis to go to this company we've never heard?
Yeah.
Went to work for, who's now a good friend, John Cameludden, the finance director. I was the only person in the business that really had any logistics experience.
Right, okay.
And they'd just lost the roof of the warehouse to Bunsfield. So after 6 weeks, it was like, what the hell have I done here?
Oh, God.
But I think that was just obviously a fantastic
That's your intro to the
opportunity.
crazy world of logistics.
It was. And I think not only just logistics, but entrepreneurialism, getting into the business at that point, working for John and Nick, the founder, it was just an amazing experience. And to go through the growth that we went through at that time, I think the share price when I went in was like 30 odd p, and then when I left it was £85. So it was just a phenomenal experience.
Yeah, what a journey.
Yeah, it was. And then obviously WnDirect, founded my own business, managed to really take that entrepreneurial spirit and do it on my own, and then subsequently Farfetch and Matches, and then DHL.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a bit of a transition, isn't it?
It
from
is.
from having your own thing. So obviously that's a really sort of varied background. You've been within multinationals, you've been within retail logistics. You know, you've had your own businesses and built and scaled and grown. Was there anything ever over those sort of years and those different periods of time that potentially was a bit of a setback for you, but actually in reality was a turning point, or maybe has pushed you to what you're doing now?
Yeah, I think I always come back to, I mean, we were so fortunate at WnDirect, created a solution that just enabled people to sell overseas. And I always remember leaving ASOS was our first customer, and we said we'd go slow, let's go and get a few SMEs.
Yeah.
And our second customer was eBay. And I can remember walking out of the Richmond office thinking, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. And because of that, just WnDirect flew. We were getting new customers on. We'd built a fantastic team from within retail that was selling logistics. But the night of the referendum for Brexit, I was boarding a plane to go to Australia with one of my colleagues. As we went to take off, the pilot said, the early results are looking like we might be out. And we were profitable and sort of 5 million profit at the time of takeoff, because we were effectively billing in pounds, but our costs were in foreign currency.
Yeah.
By the time I landed in Singapore, we'd gone to break even. By the time I'd landed in Sydney, we were losing money.
Gosh.
And I think having grown a business that we'd created a bit of a family and the people, it was a turning point because we had a real decision to make about how we survive. And actually, I think at that point, you can shirk or you can lean into it. And we just made the decision. We had to make the tough calls.
Yes.
And I think as an owner of a business and leading the business was the first time I actually felt quite isolated as actually it's me to make the decisions. There's no one else above me. It's for us to do.
Well, it's on your shoulders, isn't it?
Exactly that.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think like we survived and we become stronger from it. But I always go back to that point of the feeling of between Singapore and Sydney, there was no Wi-Fi on the plane at that time.
No.
It was
that's it. You're completely isolated, aren't you?
It was 12 hours of what's happening.
Cold.
Yeah. It was so that for me is a real standout turning point.
Yeah.
In my
Understood. And is there or has there ever been a mentor or someone that you've looked up to throughout your career?
Yeah, there are. I think there's probably a few actually. I mentioned John Cameludden, now a friend. I sort of walked into ASOS as a bit of a naive late 20-year-old.
Didn't know what you were going to say to me then.
Learned so much from him, and from a finance background and reporting into a finance director was a real change for me. I think other people, Patrick Hall of MetaPack, we did a very early deal at johnlewis.com with MetaPack and sort of grew together. Dwayne McDonald, DPD. He came onto our board at WnDirect when GeoPost invested. And someone that I've just admired for what he built within DPD was just
well, his energy levels
phenomenal.
Through the roof, aren't they?
Yeah.
Every touch point, nothing escapes him.
No, and I think when you read a CEO book and you read How to Be a CEO, Dwayne and perhaps even Martine of the total opposite of what a CEO should be in the books, but the level of detail they're into, I just admire. It's
it's working, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It is, definitely. Obviously, we've touched on you having that sort of eclectic mix of logistics and retail. So over the years, you've probably seen lots of trends come and go. Are there any in logistics or retail now that you think could stick?
Yeah, definitely. I think, obviously retail is having a really tough time in the UK at the moment. And because of that, and as a retailer in the room, in these environments, it's generally the logistics director that the CEO or the CFO will go to save money, right?
Yes,
The stock has been bought, it's in the warehouse, it's difficult to change, whereas you can ultimately save money in the logistics. And for me, I think turning logistics into a revenue generator is where some of this innovation is really coming to the fore. And yes, every carrier can sort of knock a penny off here and there, but the carriers that are really using tech to drive better CX, customer experience, to drive revenue, I think that's really important. And I think that's where, and it's a bit of a buzzword at the moment, but AI has got so much value to add because it's data driven. It's an area that I can really start to see that things will accelerate from.
And I think it's like guests have said before, AI has been actually around without us knowing it for a long, long time. If you look at optimization, it's an add-on to that. And people think of ChatGPT, it's a little bit more than that. People are building teams and it doesn't get it right all the time, AI. But I think from a logistics perspective and even from retail, inevitably those lower level jobs could be stripped out, couldn't they? So value's then going to be in maybe that mid to sort of senior tier of these companies.
Absolutely. I think, it's just, when I look back at the John Lewis MetaPack experience, Patrick and I were sitting in a pub actually and talking about how we can turn the carrier data at that time into something proactive.
Yes.
And we created an email that went to the John Lewis carrier management team that just notified them that something was a bit different. And if you think about the data that carriers are sitting on and what that can be used to start to predict. And let's be honest, consumers generally know things go wrong in delivery. It's getting to the customer first. That's the key bit. And that's where I think actually using the data and enriching the data to empower the consumer is a real opportunity.
That's the key, that enrichment piece, because they don't know what that data's holding probably more often than not. They've got sheets of Excels and they're like, ooh, what do we do with it? But that is just golden, isn't it?
It is.
Definitely. Well, should we get on to the fun stuff
Yeah.
about what you're doing now? Because these are really exciting to me. So obviously you're the founder of Trakii.
Yeah.
So just to give the audience a bit of a breakdown on that. So that's more of it's sort of a game, it's gamifying tracking really to me in essence, isn't it?
Yes.
And can we say disrupting?
Yes, I think
Disrupting
so.
that sort of
Yeah.
typical commercial logistics model. And then Asset Guard, that's obviously more around that sort of fraud piece, isn't it?
Yes.
And as we were discussing earlier, so many retailers that I spoke to, primarily in the UK and the US, who were saying, Nicky, we need a solution. The returns fraud is costing them billions.
Yeah.
So I think it's really prevalent that we sort of touch on that
Yeah.
today.
That'd be brilliant.
So should we start with Trakii?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your
no,
baby.
So Trakii is, I suppose it's a hybrid of my experience and straddling retail and the carrier side. I think there is so much value in that post-purchase experience that can be unlocked.
Yes.
So actually Trakii's got a post-purchase module to it that we believe we can disrupt the market by almost giving that away free of charge to retailers to then almost become an affiliate marketing tool.
Okay.
And enable retailers to monetize the post-purchase experience, but also empower the retailer to do their own marketing. So
Okay.
rather than us sitting making changes, it's a self-serve platform. From experience, there tends to be tension between logistics and marketing in most retailers I've worked in, and therefore empowering the retailer to do their own marketing, I think, is really key. So that's of interest to many, and I suppose coming from the industry, open rates for tracking email at 80%, click through is super high. Actually, it's a real moment that people want to engage. Where is my parcel?
Yeah.
Sometimes that's where is my parcel is seen as a negative because it's the biggest driver of CS.
Yes.
Turning that into a sort of revenue generator. I think the other element to Trakii is I believe that actually we've all gone after B2C and actually B2B's been a bit left behind. And therefore providing a system for retailers that want to send things between stores, from a warehouse to a store, actually giving them an online portal that's got the same access to multi-carrier solutions is key. So we've got some great traction there in the high street with a couple of retailers already live.
Okay.
And I think that's got a real benefit to it that's a bit underserved.
So you've had some pilots out with some big sort of recognised brands.
I think we're live.
And the feedback's strong?
Yeah, really strong. And I think if you think about that traditional B2B market, traditionally it's a one carrier relationship. And in this day and age, generally people want multi-carrier and empowering the store to pick what service they want to get things moving about. I think definitely. Is quite key.
So it is giving some of the control back to the retailer then, isn't it?
Yes.
And they get the full end-to-end visibility, do they, with it?
Yeah, it's got the standard reporting to it.
Right.
You can compare carriers, etc. I think that's sort of bread and butter and a hygiene factor in today's world. But yeah, the sort of B2B element and that post-purchase piece for B2C are the unique features of it.
And who would you say that's most suited to? Is it suited to a multinational retailer? Is it suited to a small to medium-sized business, or everybody?
I think it's everyone. And I think because you can empower the user to manage their own marketing, as long as that retailer has got a concept of a referral code, a discount code that the receiver can send on to a friend to get 10% off, for example, or a shop the look type API, you've bought this, have that.
Right, okay.
That's where I think the real power comes to it, because how many times have we bought something, we open it, the customer's a hot customer, and therefore why not try and sell them the shirt that's sitting on the website?
Your trousers.
Correct, exactly that.
God, I'm a sucker for that. I'm their ideal customer. I'm terrible. So that's interesting. And how have you found the journey with that? How long have you been sort of developing that?
So we were fortunate to acquire the software from Packfleet. So it's the old Packfleet software that we've acquired, which is one of the reasons why we're able to disrupt the market.
Yes.
The development in a nice way was done. We've enhanced it and tweaked it, but we've managed to buy the software.
You know it works.
And I haven't got investors that I need to repay. So we're really disrupting the market in the commercial model more than the tech itself. But
Yeah.
because of that, we know it works. We know it's had multi-millions of parcels through it, etc.
Gosh, wow, okay. And then Asset Guard.
Yeah, so Asset Guard, they are linked, two separate brands. Asset Guard again came from a problem that I encountered at DHL. And ultimately the concept was I need to be able to track high value things
Yes.
through a network in real time. And even you've probably had many people on your podcast, people buy Apple AirTags to put in
Yes.
parcels, and it's a retail device. So it was really to come to market with something that could be done on a mass scale
Yes.
and offer a similar solution. So in short, it's a small tag. It's got different battery lives. We've got one at 3 weeks right up to one that's at 3 years.
Wow.
And it can be put into or onto something and tracked in real time. And the user can decide how often it pings. If it pings every 7 seconds, you can literally see it within a 3 meter square. If you want it pinging every 7 minutes, the battery life lasts a bit longer and the accuracy is a bit less.
Okay.
But really tailored that with the logistics in mind, in that we've gone through all of the trials to make sure it can go on an aeroplane, which is key. It's a lithium battery.
Right.
And cross-border was quite key to us, and therefore there's a lot of development we need to do there. And I think secondly, from a GDPR standpoint, really making sure that one, if it's used in a B2C environment, when it arrives at its destination, the individual at the other end can either deactivate the tag or it can be geofenced to deactivate itself. And really interestingly, from one of the pilots we did last year, it was so accurate that one of our customers said, this is a nightmare because the receiver's phoning us every 5 seconds asking why the parcel hasn't moved. So we've almost now got two views.
Be careful what you wish for.
It is, and to be honest, it's something we never thought of.
No.
It was, if you think about the postal industry, so one of our customers is putting them on a mail bag to track untracked mail products, letters, through a network to spin it into a semi-tracked product.
Right.
Because we know via the postal system where every single sort centre is in the world, we can actually say to that sender, when it gets to a mail centre in South America, it's there. But some postal administrations, it might sit somewhere for 2 days, and people were phoning to say, why is the mail bag still in the...
They'd be like, how do you know?
It's always been there, yeah.
What's happening?
It's, so giving that different view has been quite key to the software.
So who's buying these tags?
So if you'd have asked me that question a year ago, in my mind, there was 2 user cases. It was going to be sort of supply chain freight forwarders, putting them in pallets, understanding where pallets are, and probably high value retailers. My Matches and Farfetch experience, £3,000 handbag, if that gets lost or a consumer says they haven't got it, putting a tag in as the retailer was empowering. Really interestingly, we're seeing the interest come much broader. And one of the retailers we talked to had done a survey on why consumers were using the same day. So offering free delivery, same day at $12.95 or what it was. And the feedback wasn't that consumer was impatient. It was they were paying $12.95 for the insurance it would get there and not get lost. And the retailer said, well, why am I deciding to put it into a £250 pair of trainers? Let's let the consumers decide at checkout to add a tag into the parcel.
That's the key thing with anything now. It's choice, isn't it?
Absolutely. And empowering the consumer, right?
Exactly.
And because of that, the C2C world has opened up.
I was just going to say, I use Vinted a lot. And I'm thinking, hang on a minute, is this not going to be really good for C2C or any other pre-loved sort of platform? So how would I get the actual tag? So if I'm selling a lot of sort of pre-loved clothes on Vinted, for argument's sake, how would I get access to a tag?
So I think there's multiple ways. One, if you're almost a power seller, then they can be bought in bulk. Or what we're looking at is posting the tags out to consumers.
Oh, right. Oh, so Vinted or eBay or any other pre-loved site could acquire these tags in bulk as a value add for their customer?
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I think that's, my kids are 16, 14 and 12,
You've been busy.
all on, all on Vinted.
Yeah.
And actually, because it's C2C, there is so much emotion around, will this
Yes.
parcel arrive? And if it doesn't arrive, it's almost a nightmare to try and untangle where it's happened.
Yeah.
So that C2C environment, interestingly, is a huge opportunity for us.
Definitely. And also, if you touched on when you said you can go cross-border with it.
Yes.
So, because a lot of these pre-loved are now doing UK to US.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
that's
And we've
exciting.
built the tech so it is really user-friendly. Once the tag's activated, it's live. You put in an address as a sender. If you want to see every single movement, you can. If you want to share a milestone track to the receiver so they're not seeing exactly where it is, you
Yeah.
can as well. So it is literally activate it, turn it on and watch it go.
And then what happens? Do you get that tag back?
So there's
Or do you get new tags
so
sent?
it's new tags. They are reusable.
Yeah.
And one of the interesting cases is, do you allow the consumer to use it post it arriving? So when I said about turning it off,
Oh,
some
okay.
retailer said it might be a bit of a gimmick or a ploy to say, look, there's a tag there.
Yeah.
The battery life of it is now another 3 months. Why not use it? So you can assign the tag to someone else. And we're also looking at almost like a send back, reuse, recycle type
That's a
program,
good
which
shout.
I think is really, really important to
Definitely.
sort of the sustainability angle.
Well, that sustainability, we touched on AI, but AI and sustainability are huge for
They are,
companies at the
yeah.
moment, aren't they? That's really exciting.
It
I
is.
think I'm more excited about that one. But do you know why? Because of these retailers that I'm talking to who are really spitting feathers at the minute around returns fraud.
You lump into returns fraud chargebacks, which tends to get put into that pot,
Yeah.
but technically isn't a return fraud. I was reading an article, I think it was one of the UK consumer groups. I think
Yeah.
it was 1 in 4 millennials have done some type of chargeback fraud.
Wow.
And it's the fastest going fraud in the UK. And actually a tag in that parcel triangulates at the moment. As a retailer, if I put my matches experience, a customer would say they hadn't got it.
Yeah.
The carrier would say they delivered it.
Yeah.
The retailer would then be sitting in the middle of a consumer phoning a credit card
Yeah.
to get a charge back. And all of a sudden, you've got 4 parties and no one single person holding
So
that
it
data.
cuts out that supply chain piece,
Absolutely.
really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because you've got that direct engagement with the bank
Yeah,
and the supplier and effectively the customer.
absolutely. And if you think, I mean, sort of thinking about innovation, if you think about the way the finance sector has worked with credit cards and banks,
Yes.
when I go to apply for a mortgage today, the bank will know that I have defaulted and I have a credit score. And that's
Yes.
all GDPR compliant,
Yes.
but they can see my credit score. We have nothing like that post-purchase.
No.
We've got fraud modules
Yeah.
that will detect fraud at checkout. But if you triangulate the carrier data that has got multiple retailers in it, with bank data, with customer service data within the retailer, we're actually sitting on a load of data ourselves that can empower a lot of those decisions. And unlike the finance sector that's probably quite binary, you get the credit card or you don't,
Yeah.
why not use that to empower things like adding on a pin on delivery,
Yeah.
moving it to a store or a collection point where someone's got to show a driving license.
Yeah.
And actually I think consumers would get it because it's protecting everyone.
Well, it opens up so many other routes to market for them, doesn't
Absolutely.
it? And
Yeah.
options. And as we said before, as a consumer, you just want choice.
Yes.
You know, do you want it delivered to home? Do you want to pick it up from a locker? Do you want someone else to be able to sign for it?
Absolutely.
You know, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's getting very difficult though now, because as we said around people, companies have to earn money.
Yeah.
And it just seems to be a bit, as I've said on many podcasts before, but it's really prevalent. It is a race to the bottom on price, and we can't keep doing it because
Absolutely.
charges are going up, fuel charges are going up, everything's going up in the world that we're living in. There's got to be a happy medium and a balance. So if they can offset a lot of those costs with something like this, that's
Absolutely.
going to be pretty valuable.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the reasons I'm finding it so exciting is if you think of the WnDirect days, actually there were so many startups that were coming in and changing the industry. They all, including WnDirect, got consumed and it just feels like there's another ripe time to innovate again in
You
our
love
industry.
it. I can see your eyes are all like, you're not going back to corporate, are you?
I doubt it.
Or do we never say never? But it is, everyone thinks everything's already been done.
Yes.
But there is actually so much potential, especially around tech now, and to innovate. And the logistics sector, it's a much sexier sector than it was before. It was trucks and planes and trains and pallets, and now it's innovation and drones and cross-border solutions. It's a really good time that you've launched it. And if obviously the audience are going to be wanting to know more about this, so do you want me to sort of share your direct contact details?
Please do.
I direct them?
Yeah, please do.
Because they might want to be first to market. They're like, who's trialing it? What's happening? Who's doing the pilot? So in terms of like where you sit now, are these companies, do you actually have customers? Is it still in that pilot stage?
No.
Are you earning
Have
revenue?
customers, got revenue. I think the lesson learned from WnDirect is I really enjoy being involved myself, but actually bringing on people in a structured way and not just grabbing at everything is key. And I think, like logistics, building strong and deep relationships just serve everyone better under a partnership.
And good people know good people, don't
exactly
they?
that.
So
Exactly
partnerships and relationships are key. What do you love about what you're doing?
I love just being back in the startup world.
Yeah.
I think it's enjoyable, and sincerely, I haven't had a customer that has looked at either of these products and said that's a bad idea.
Okay.
And sort of a year in, you start to think, actually, I am onto
You're
something
onto
here.
something,
And whenever you do a startup, you have that doubt in your own mind of, actually, is it just me that thinks this is a great idea?
Yeah.
So coming out of those meetings with people nodding, it's just a real energy.
And
from it.
and I'm assuming, obviously, from the WnDirect days and all the way through to COO and managing director, obviously most recent at DHL Ecommerce, is your work-life balance shifting now then?
100%. And I think that's one of the big reflections in all of this.
Yeah.
I've got a 2.5, 3-year-old.
I can't believe you went again. You were coming out the other side.
And I think if I look at my work-life balance now, my wife is in our businesses. We work together.
Amazing.
Sometimes we want to kill each other because of that. But it's just it's
But
phenomenal.
that's special for your family, isn't it?
Exactly. And just and I think a lesson learned. Her career is super important. Being able to be around to not just do the school runs because it's good for the kids, but allowing Ellie to go off to work while I do the school run.
Amazing.
It's a real.
That is definitely a different shift, because I suppose in the early days with your, don't like to say you were the breadwinner because we're in, the 2026, the 21st century, but typically it was the mum who looked after the children.
Absolutely.
And it was the husbands or the partners who went to work. So that dynamic shifting, I think, is quite nice now.
Yeah, it's one of those, I wish I'd sort of thought about it earlier in life. And you say about going again.
But you're building, aren't you?
Yeah. I am in a really fortunate position to have a young child that I can actually do the things that I probably missed out on in the first 3. So yeah, it's definitely a work-life balance shift.
Amazing. And what would you say the future is looking like? Because obviously you've got these 2 businesses. I'm assuming all of your effort and energy is going to sort of be going into that. Is it that you're going to focus sort of in the UK and maybe one other country, or are you opening up across a number of lanes?
Yeah, I think so. I think to the first point, I think I am really enjoying helping people, retailers in certain areas. So actually, I'm in a fortunate position to be doing a bit of consultancy work, and I'm getting real energy. Just like when I left WnDirect, Farfetch asked for a consultancy piece. I looked at it, thought, I've never done fashion, I've never done a marketplace, and actually enjoyed it because I was learning something different.
Yes.
And I'm really enjoying doing that again. So there's a nice balance to it.
Yeah.
In all honesty, I think Asset Guard, a lot of the hard work is done. The tech is built.
Yes.
We're selling tags.
Yes.
And the whole point of it is it's self-serve and you're moving the same with Trakii. It's, so I'm loving that sort of energy from supporting some of the enterprise strategic sales. And the plan is now to just roll it out and keep expanding
and just see how it goes.
And I think having that balance to walking into a retailer and helping where I can. I was last week doing a spreadsheet for someone and found myself just loving it. Like, it hasn't 10 years till I got into a proper good spreadsheet. It's so,
well, the devil's in the detail, isn't it?
It is.
So are you, obviously these are going to be sort of self-serving businesses, really, aren't they? It's not that you need loads of hands on deck and manpower effectively behind it. Does that mean you're potentially open for other opportunities if somebody's looking at maybe a non-exec or another consultancy role once or twice a week?
I think, and it's getting the balance is key. But ultimately, I think, coming back to your question about energy, I'm enjoying having that bit of diversity. That's not to say that we're taking our eye off the ball on one of the startups, but it's just nice having that balance. So yeah, absolutely. A lesson learned is actually I can do multiple things. I think one of the elements I'm finding is I'm at a point in my career where actually I have got quite a unique experience in retail and logistics. I'm probably at an age where I can add value for a good number of years. So some of those non-exec type conversations are super interesting.
And the startups, because it is getting much more innovative. You know, people are bringing new ideas to market and they might have the idea but not really necessarily know how to implement that. And I think because you've been on both sides of the fence, that's really valuable for sort of anyone coming into this space. Is there anything you want to touch on with me that we haven't already talked about? We've got a platform here to sort of tell people about Trakii and Asset Guard, but do you think there's enough out there around that?
Yeah, and obviously it's a headline. I think if anyone has got any interest, I am really enjoying being the person to come in and show. And actually, we've moved away from decks and presentations. It's lovely to open up a laptop and show people the systems in action. So if anyone is interested, then would love to show. And actually, if people don't like it, that's great feedback for us to understand the why.
Well, anything's good, isn't it? Any sort of feedback helps you in those sort of early stages. But we were chatting earlier and, you know, I found it quite interesting over the past sort of maybe 4 or 5 years, something like that. Those barriers to entry are down now, aren't they from a collaboration perspective? So people want others to do well. And they want the best for their customer. So if that means you partner with another company because the customer gets the right solution, I think there's a lot more partnerships and collaborations happening now. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I have. And it's funny, I was talking to a retailer this morning where actually I think gone are the days where tech teams want to build everything themselves. And certainly in an environment where people are chasing revenue, actually in the logistics space, buying systems, partnering with systems is now becoming natural. And I think if I go back 10 or 15 years, a lot of my challenges within retail would be this: we want to build this in-house, but why? It's not really going to add value longer term.
And it's the longevity that takes, the time. You could outsource that to someone that could do it in 2 months, yet your internal team's going to take a year to build it. Somebody else has brought something else out by then. That's outdated, isn't it?
Yeah, and we all use the same carriers. So actually the value in that expensive tech resource should be in the front end, revenue generating, customer acquisition type, in my mind.
Yeah, definitely. No, I agree with that. I feel like we're missing something, but I don't think we are. We've rattled through. Is there a question, obviously, because of what I just find it interesting that you've been on both sides of the fence, so that you've been on boards with retailers and with logistics businesses. Is there a question that people have asked you when you were in those positions that have really resonated with you around a growth plan, a strategy, a new route to market?
I think you mentioned something earlier that I think really hits. It probably doesn't answer the question directly, but the point of this race to the bottom, I think, is a really interesting
on the
dynamic.
price.
And it's, I think as retailers, we have to understand that it's becoming increasingly difficult to employ people to deliver parcels.
Yeah.
At DHL, that was one of our biggest struggles.
Right.
And I think actually hitting, as a retailer, the carriers over there to save a penny, at the moment, it is a bit of a buyer's market. Post-COVID,
Yeah.
volumes are down. But ultimately, it's going to be retailers that suffer long-term if we don't realise that that is a circular reference that's not going to end well.
Yeah.
And I think that balance between making sure that there is the quality of service in the networks means that everything, costs are rising, right? Everything you look at, whether it be fuel, whether it be how much a driver wants, whether it be the sort of cost of getting a parcel through a network onto a truck, costs are increasing, yet retailers are still ultimately, I think, coming to the logistics providers to save the penny that's on the point. And if I sort of look at the industry as a whole and cross-border, if I look at ASOS from afar or some of the fast fashion retailers, some of the sort of changes that are needed in the way we deal with customs and how fair is it that ASOS pay duties and taxes in the UK, but someone sending something under £35 doesn't. I think there's a real shift that needs to happen in.
Definitely. The dynamics have changed, haven't they?
Yeah, and I think we've got a shared responsibility as an industry to work together to change that, because we can't just keep hitting the carriers over there.
Well, one of my previous guests mentioned around this dynamic pricing, and he thinks that's going to become a lot more prevalent now, and that the dynamics might shift a little bit with out of home becoming much more prevalent from a locker perspective. But how is it going to stop? I just don't. It's a tricky sort of area to delve into, isn't it?
It is,
because it's always coming. The lower you go on the price, something will suffer. So your service, your operations, you can't keep giving them this premium service when they're pinching you down every sort of week on a penny or 2p.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's how do we use data to make things more efficient?
Yes.
But ultimately, how do we also use that delivery experience to drive revenue? Because as a retailer, actually, yes, I can save a penny, but if I can increase orders by 5%, it blows away the penny that I save. And
Exactly.
I think that shift out of a pure operational conversation to how do carriers and delivery and lockers add value in the sales experience, I think, again, is something we've really got to look at as an industry.
That's interesting, because then it lends to the checkout experience. So it all has a sort of knock-on effect.
Yeah.
So everybody should be winning at some point in that journey if it's a collaboration and it's a partnership and it's done right.
Exactly that.
Yeah, okay. Well, Mr. Hill, we've got some quick-fire questions.
This is the scary bit,
it's
right?
It's not me. The audience like to know a little bit more about the guest. So are you happy for me to just rattle them off?
I'll tell you after you've asked the questions.
Well, there's nothing too scary. So morning person or night owl?
Morning person.
Yeah. Most used emoji?
The rolling on the floor laughing emoji.
The rolling laughing emoji.
Or that one. What's that one?
I did the slap the head. Yeah, that's a startup journey, isn't it? Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Favourite holiday destination?
Do you know what? I'd have said something very different, but I've just returned from a camper van trip to Ireland.
And did you love it?
I absolutely loved it. I'm driving Ellie, my wife, insane, because I'm now looking at second-hand camper vans.
You want a new camper van?
Yeah, it's like you chase the salary to go on these 5-star holidays, but sincerely, probably the best holiday we've had in 15 years, driving around Ireland in a camper van. It was
strips
phenomenal.
Everything back, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Just back to basics. What makes you smile?
My family. I think just 4 kids.
It's a big one.
Yeah, and they make me cry and they make me frustrated. But actually, when we're all together and being fortunate to see the 16-year-old with a 3-year-old, it's just, that really does make me.
It's special, isn't it? Well, family is everything, isn't it? So that's nice. And the dynamic of the little one with the big one, that's really special. What advice would you give your younger self?
I think we've touched on it, which is that work-life balance.
Yeah.
and you mentioned it, kids, they grow up so quickly, and you look
Mm.
back and think, I missed that birthday because I wasn't in the country, or
Mm.
and there is a balance, and you can't do both. But I
No.
think just even a sort of 5% shift can have such an
Big,
impact
yeah. Well, time
on
is
life.
precious, isn't it?
It
And it's
is.
the one thing we don't get back.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's definitely worth noting for people, because even anyone in the audience that's building a business, that is their baby. They're like in it 24/7,
Yes.
living it, breathing it, and then the son or the daughter, like, oh, can you read me a story? I'm just doing this,
Yeah,
darling. You know,
yeah.
so I get it. I hear
Yeah.
it, definitely. Is there a podcast, book, or a film that's really inspired you?
Inspired me. There's actually 2 films. I'm not a big reader, if I'm honest.
No.
But I always, when I get asked that question, it's like, what film do you stumble across on the telly but you don't switch off?
Yeah.
And the one that I keep coming back to is Cool Runnings.
Right, okay.
That film, I could watch again and again and again, and it's a great story. But I think it inspired me to be sitting here and talking about it. And
Yeah.
then I think more recently, I think I Swear, we put I Swear on the Tourette story that's obviously been in the press recently,
Right.
with the kids, not quite realising how much swearing was in it, if I'm
Yes, yeah.
honest. But half an hour, I
I'm
thought,
sure they've heard worse.
well, and to be honest, half an hour in, just thought, do you know what, this is real.
Well, that's
and
it.
it was,
It's educational as
it
well,
is. Had
isn't
the
it?
kids in tears, and I think it's,
Oh,
yeah, for me, that was a real inspiration, because I think I'm at an age where growing up, life was different, and actually seeing the struggles that someone of a similar age to me went through at that age really makes you reflect on actually
definitely.
how society is better now than it has been.
Okay. What do you think would surprise someone the most if they shadowed you for a day? Are we talking about like a founder here, a dad, which part?
What would I think? I am an absolute data control freak.
Right.
And I think if you shadowed me for a day, you'd think my wife was an absolute angel in what she puts up with on a day in, day out basis.
Doesn't surprise me. She has the patience of a saint.
Yeah, she does. I remember when we met, I was standing at Royal Ascot and was just totally honest and said, I'm an absolute nightmare to live with. And I can remember looking at me thinking, you can't be that bad. But I'm pretty sure on a daily basis,
She gets it.
She gets back to that moment of, yeah, she was telling the truth.
Oh, so how did you meet then? Were you out just with the same friendship group?
We worked together.
Right,
so
okay.
both going through divorces at the
Okay.
time. Both had young kids. In all honesty, as the typical divorced dad,
Yeah.
left it to a Friday. Oh my God, what am I going to do with the kids this weekend? And tagged along with Ellie a few times, just because she'd booked something and I hadn't.
Yeah.
And yeah, friendship developed into
That's nice.
into a marriage.
Well, that's the organic, that's the natural, authentic, organic
Yeah.
side to it,
I mean, I
isn't
think, as I said earlier, working together and being married is
Tough.
difficult, but yeah, we get through it, and yeah,
Good.
there's days where we don't talk to one another, but on the whole, it's brilliant.
She might quite like that. A bit
I think
of
she does.
peace.
I think she was a bit more.
Oh gosh. Is there a guilty pleasure you're willing to admit on air?
I think my guilty pleasure, it's probably teaching.
Yours has to be Millwall, surely.
It is, and I don't know, worse than that, I've managed to teach my 2.5-year-old son multiple Millwall chants and songs.
Really?
And when we was in Ireland,
he hasn't even got a choice who he wants to support.
He burst into a rendition of "Let 'Em Come" in a restaurant.
How old is he?
2.5.
Oh, God.
I was standing at the nursery with him yesterday, and one of the dads started to talk to him, and he just shouted out, "No one likes us." To which I was a bit embarrassed, but yeah, it gives me pride. But yeah, that is a bit of a guilty pleasure.
Millwall, brilliant. I think you just got through them. That's it. There was nothing scary, was there?
Few.
Yeah, few. We're actually coming to the end of the podcast. Is there anything you would like to add? Is there anything else that you want to touch on, or you want the audience to know?
I think we've touched on it mostly. I think my biggest point, is that like so many people are doing jobs that they're not getting energy from.
Yeah.
Now in a luxurious position, to be sitting here and have the experience. And I think the people that I've worked with have made so many friends in this industry.
Yeah.
But I think making sure that you're getting energy from the job that you're doing is, I think, is the one takeaway I think that I'm learning as I sit here.
Because it can be a tough job, tough gig in logistics, isn't it?
Yeah, it's hard work, right? It's. I think sometimes we overcomplicate and forget. We're not brain surgeons. We're moving things from A to B.
A to B, yeah.
And when you're on Black Friday and things are going a bit Pete Tong, actually making sure that you learn from that, but have a smile every day. And I think that sort of kill with kindness is just, there's so many great people in logistics, like-minded. It's such an incestuous industry. But just make sure that everyone's getting energy from what they're doing.
I think so.
that's key.
And sharing, you know, because like kindness costs nothing, does it? But I think even also sharing the load from a sort of negative perspective.
Absolutely.
It's like lots of my clients now, the employees aren't overly enamoured with it, but they're bringing this whole come back to work, you know, rather than the hybrid or the remote base, because they said, look, especially in sales, it's quite a lonely world, you know, we don't want you sat at home if you've had a bad day and you don't really have anyone to talk to or bounce off. You need to be around people that are in your position. You can have a chat, because when a problem's shared, it's not actually that bad, but you can make something quite big in your own head,
absolutely.
can't you?
Like just getting energy from the people you're working for or with is just so key.
I do vibe actually off people's energy. I'm a bit witchy like that. But you want to be around people that are excited and love what they're doing. And it's not, you can't be like that all the time, can you?
No.
You really be getting on people's wicks. But we're at work more than we're at home.
Absolutely.
We've got to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And enjoy it. So talking of enjoyment, how have you enjoyed the podcast?
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you for having me. It's been
very
been
welcome.
Great. Feels like a bit like a therapy session. So thank you.
So you feel good now?
I do.
Ready to get back into the real world? Oh, well, thank you for coming, Stuart. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.